Hello children, Sai Ram. Welcome back to Social Studies class. Children, this is our third session on chapter number 20. Gandhiji leads the nation. So let us see the topics that we are going to cover in our today's session. That is World War I and the Quit India movement, Subhash Chandra Bose and the Indian National Army, India becomes free. Okay, but before that, let us quickly recall about the topics that we had covered in our previous two sessions. Children, we saw about the Rowlatt Act and Jallianwala Bagh, where people were killed, and this news shocked the entire nation as well as the British officers. We even studied about non-cooperation movement which was launched by Gandhiji, and unfortunately this movement failed because of the incident which took place at Chauri Chara in Uttar Pradesh, which got violent because people set the police station on fire, wherein 22 policemen died. Later on, Gandhiji launched the civil disobedience movement in 1930. Because of salt law, Indians had to pay taxes on salt to the British government. Gandhiji organized a peaceful march from Sabarmati Ashram, which is at Ahmedabad, to Dandi on the seashore. Then a large number of people took part in this march, which was known as Dandi March. Gandhiji and his followers made salt by evaporating sea water. Then we also saw about the Simon Commission. In the year 1928, a committee was organized under Sir Simon, which was known as Simon Commission. Children, there was no Indian in this commission. Therefore, Indians were very angry and they decided to boycott the commission, and even they came on the streets. They shouted the slogan as Simon, go back. And the Congress people asked for Purna Swaraj. Okay, they demanded for Purna Swaraj, that is complete independence. So now let's see further what happens. The matter escalated, and now the British arrested tens of thousands of people. That is, more than 10,000 people were arrested by the British, but couldn't crush the movement of Simon go back. What they did is they finally forced to introduce some reforms in the year 1935, and British passed the Government of India Act. Children, in which year did the British pass this act? In the year 1935. Okay, and which act was it? British passed the act, that is the Government of India Act. Now, due to this act, several elections were conducted throughout the country. Okay, see in the picture, children. Several elections were conducted throughout the country, and the Congress won in the most of the provinces and they formed the government. Okay, who won in this election? That is the Congress won in most of the provinces and they formed the government. Okay, but what happened is the power still remained in the hands of the British. That is, even the Congress won the election, but still the control was in the hands of the British. And when the World War started in the year 1939, the British just declared war on Indians' behalf. Okay, the British just declared war on Indians' behalf, and without even consulting the Indian leaders. And this angered Indian leaders a lot. Okay, this made Indian leaders very angry, and in protest to this, the Congress ministers in many fields or provinces, they resigned. Okay, this angered the Indian leaders, and in protest to this, the Congress ministers in many provinces, what did they do? They resigned. Okay, that means they quit their jobs. They just quit their jobs, and Congress declared that India would not join the war unless and until British granted them a complete independence. Okay, so they said, British, you please get out from here. What did they say, children? They said to British, you please get out from here. Only then we are going to tell whether we will participate in the war or not. So, they held several meetings, but unfortunately it failed. And Gandhiji had to launch the Quit India movement in August 1942. And because of this movement, Gandhiji and the other leaders were arrested. Okay? Gandhiji and the other leaders were arrested because of this Quit India movement. See, children, here in the image, Gandhiji along with his some of the leaders in the prison. Okay, so Gandhiji and the other leaders were arrested for this. And there were violent protests all over the country. Due to this, what happened, children? The freedom fighter, the freedom fighter named Subhash Chandra Bose came to the rescue. In the image, here we have is Subhash Chandra Bose. And I am sure, children, you all are aware of him. Okay, he was elected as the president of the Indian National Congress twice. Okay, he was lovingly called as Netaji, and he was convinced that these British will never leave India peacefully. So, children, what did he do? He went to Japan. Okay, he went to Japan and organized an army of 40,000 Indian soldiers. Children, he went to Japan and he organized an army of around 40,000. Okay, 40,000 Indian soldiers. Can you imagine, children? The number, the count, that is 40,000 Indian soldiers. And he named it as Azad Hind Fauj. Okay, or we can also say the Indian National Army. Okay, what did he name, children? He named as Azad Hind Fauj or the Indian National Army, and they fought against the British on the northeast border of India. Okay, these Indian soldiers fought against the British on the northeast border of India. In the image we can see children. Okay, here are the Indian soldiers. So they fought for India's freedom. Now, initially they were successful in pushing British back. Okay, that means these soldiers initially, that in the beginning, they were successful in pushing back the British, but finally British defeated the Indian National Army, because British had far superior military forces than the Indian soldiers. So children, how do you think that India became free? Now, by the end of World War II, okay, by the end of Second World War, the British realized that they could not, they could no longer keep Indians in their control. So when the Second World War ended, that is in the year 1945, okay, when the Second World War ended in the year 1945, the Quit India movement and Indian National Army shook the British. Okay, the Quit India movement and Indian National Army shook the British. Finally, the British agreed to move out of India, and the discussions started with the Congress and Muslim League leaders. Okay, the divide and rule policy of British was successful in dividing Hindus and Muslims. And even the Muslim League, under the leadership of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, demanded a separate nation for the Muslims. Okay, he wanted the separate nation for the Muslims. Then on 15th August 1947, okay, 15th August 1947, India got independence. Gandhiji was against the division of India, but India was divided into two nations, okay, India and Pakistan. So here are the images. Now children, this is a map of India before independence. Okay, so India included Bangladesh as well as Pakistan. So children, on 15th August 1947, India got its independence, but Gandhiji was heartbroken as his dream of a united India had been shattered. Okay, so children, that's it for our today's session. With this, we come to an end of our chapter. Let's have a quick recapitulation. Children, here are a few points on the screen. Okay, so I want you all to read aloud along with me. Okay, shall we begin? Even you all will read along with me. Okay, so point number 1. After coming back to India, Gandhiji worked to remove evil practices from Indian society and to unite Indians against the British. Number 2, Gandhiji launched a movement to oppose the Rowlatt Acts in 1919. Okay, point number 3. The same year, the British massacred thousands of unarmed people in Jallianwala Bagh in Amritsar. After this, Gandhiji launched the non-cooperation movement, but he stopped it after it turned violent. Point number 5. Protest against the Simon Commission in 1928 again brought the people together against the British. Number 6. In 1929, Congress declared their demand for Purna Swaraj. 7th, in 1930, Gandhiji launched the civil disobedience movement with the Dandi March. Number 8, the Quit India movement was launched in 1942. Point number 9, the Indian National Army of Subhash Chandra Bose fought the British on the northeast borders of India but was finally defeated. Number 10, after World War II, the British government decided to free India. And the last point, India got its independence on 15th August 1947 but was divided into two nations, India and Pakistan. Okay, that's it, children. So do read the textbook and even you need to solve the worksheet. Okay, till then, take care of yourself. Thank you and goodbye.